Once upon a time, in the heart of a prosperous village, there lay an ancient forest that no one dared to enter. Legend spoke of spirits lurking in the shadows, of whispers carried by the wind. But one stormy night, a group of desperate hunters, lost and hungry, stumbled upon something strange, an old, forgotten shrine hidden beneath twisted roots and thick vines. And inside, they found it. A massive mirror, framed in gold, covered in dust but untouched by time. Unlike any mirror they had ever seen, its surface rippled like water under the moonlight. The hunters, filled with awe and fear, carried it back to the village. At dawn, the entire village gathered in the square, murmuring in excitement. The oldest elder, a man wise beyond his years, stepped forward, his fingers tracing the smooth surface. "This," he whispered, "is no ordinary mirror. It reveals what is yet to come." The crowd gasped. "Lies," a man scoffed. But before anyone could argue, a young man named Obina pushed forward. The village troublemaker, always seeking an adventure, he smirked and stared into the glass. And then, his smirk vanished. His eyes widened. His breath caught in his throat. I see myself as the richest man in the land. Gold. A mansion. Servants at my feet." The villagers gasped. Another woman, Ada, shoved Obina aside and peered into the mirror. "I see myself in royal robes. A queen, married to a great king." Now, the villagers rushed forward, desperate to see their own fates. Some saw themselves as chiefs, others as warriors, traders, and nobles. The blacksmith saw himself forging weapons for kings. The farmer saw himself owning lands that stretched beyond the horizon. And from that moment, the village changed forever. The obsession begins. The farmers abandoned their crops. "Why should I toil under the sun when I am destined to be a merchant?" one scoffed. The fishermen threw away their nets. "My future is in a palace, not in the river," another declared. Soon, the once bustling market fell silent. The streets, once filled with laughter and music, became empty. People spent hours, days, weeks staring into the mirror, longing for the future it had promised. Even the chief became obsessed. He saw himself ruling not just the village, but an entire kingdom. And so, instead of leading his people, he spent his time gazing into the mirror, dreaming of his power. Only one man refused to look, the elder. He sat in silence, watching as the village crumbled. "You are all fools," he said one evening. "The mirror shows possibilities, but it does not give them to you. A future without effort is an illusion." But no one listened. Then, the vision started to change. One day, Obina returned to the mirror, expecting to see himself covered in gold. Instead, he saw himself starving, dressed in rags, his once grand mansion reduced to ruins. He screamed. The blacksmith, who once saw himself forging for kings, now saw himself crippled, begging on the streets. The woman who saw herself as queen? She now saw darkness. The village descended into madness. "This is a curse," someone cried. "The mirror lies," another wailed. People tried to rewrite their futures, forcing the mirror to show them something better, but the more they looked, the worse their reflections became. The breaking point. One stormy night, lightning crackled across the sky as the villagers gathered before the mirror, desperate for answers. The chief, trembling with fear, raised his staff and shouted, "We must fix this. We must beg the mirror to return our futures." But the elder, his face full of sorrow, shook his head. "You were given a gift," he said softly, "but you let it blind you. You chased the future and forgot the present. And now, the future you feared has come to pass." The villagers screamed in denial. They rushed toward the mirror, pounding on its surface, demanding it to change. And then, crack! A loud, bone-chilling sound filled the air. The mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. The villagers froze in horror. They scrambled to pick up the shards, but all they saw now was their own, broken reflections. Their futures were gone. The aftermath. The village, once rich and full of life, became nothing more than a shadow of what it had been. The fields lay empty, the marketplace abandoned. The people had seen their futures, but they had forgotten to live for today. And so, they were left with nothing. As the elder walked through the silent village, he whispered, "Dreaming of the future is not enough. If you do not work for it today, it will never come." The lesson. And so, the mirror that showed the future was no more. But the lesson it left behind? Never trust the promise of tomorrow if you are not willing to work for it today. The end. If you loved this story, subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications for more amazing stories. Subscribe now.